if it could break a record.
And with the possibility of storms for your weekend, we're tracking when we could see them across our area and how much rain we could possibly see by the middle of the week.
Plus, we're bringing you the weather extra on those storms, not only across our state, but also across the nation.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
Oh, the sound of thunder earlier today. It was a First Alert weather day to kick off the week, and this is some video. Check this one out. Wow, some intense lightning out there. How about that? Yeah, that was at Bluff Park in Hoover right there on Shades Mountain as those storms moved through earlier today. Some intense lightning, and listen, that's what we expected. A lot of lightning, some heavy rain, some possibilities, some severe storms, and impacts for the morning drive. That was an impactful system that moved through early in the day.
It absolutely was.
I don't know, there was a lot of talk about Sunday, you know, a severe weather threat, but as we've been saying, that's why we had Monday declared. It was a Monday morning threat
Monday morning thing.
And it stayed right on track as we expected, moved on out of here, and now we're watching ahead to what's on the way for the middle of the week.
Oh, so much going on. We have chilly conditions early Tuesday, big warm up. Then we're getting cold possibly again beyond the 7-day.
I know. That's the first thing I will see.
More storms.
Wait till you see this Climate Prediction Center outlook. I mean, it's showing next week temperatures going way below average again. So that cold snap, you know it's coming before Good Friday, and it looks like it is on the way for next week. So let's talk about it. A lot to get into here on Weather Extra, and we've got the Weather Extra for you. Low clouds right now, live look from Nectar, and let's check it out at Adair Tire. You can see some of those clouds around. I just wanted to show you these views here because you can see the wind has picked up. The actual cold front with this system is actually just now making its push through the state of Alabama. So we're getting a couple of more showers that are showing up right now where some of this rain is happening. I'm zoomed into Chilton County right around Collins Chapel, and there's a little bit of rain moving south. So you might notice a passing shower here soon around Clanton. It's around Thorsby right now, but it's moving to the south. Not much to this. Over towards Lake Mitchell and south of Lay Lake there, you can see some of those showers drifting through. And also that lines up into, you follow this well north and east into Calhoun County and north of Jacksonville. The rain starting to push in. This has mostly cleared out of Etowah County right now, but Ohatchee and back in towards Brutonville and Jacksonville, a first alert for a passing shower here. Won't last long. It's going to track on to the south, and that is it as far as rain goes for the remainder of tonight. But as Tonia talked about, it will go a lot colder tonight. Notice this, another very large outlook from the nation's Storm Prediction Center. Look at all the states here in a level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather. They even have a marginal risk down into North Alabama. The way I see it, that risk is going to stay to the west of us. We have high pressure building in. I did highlight a low threat. Again, this is our outlook based on our thoughts here. Is going to be across the northwest part of the area. But I'm sure the thought process is if this sneaks a little bit further to the east there, it could impact the northwest part of the state. And that should stay north of us. Again, you can see the model data coming in right now. I'm sure they'll make some adjustments. You can see that risk is mostly off to the north and west of us. Main impacts will stay west of us through the middle of the week. Now, the one thing you will notice, wind speeds are going to pick up because we're going to be wedged in between this system and high pressure to the east. That's going to drive in those south winds at about 10 to 20. Maybe some gusts as high as 30 miles per hour on Wednesday. Tomorrow, not as windy. Take advantage of tomorrow because it is going to be gusty out there on Wednesday. But looking ahead, the day I'm really watching here is it's a weekend again. And still a lot of time to monitor this. I'm seeing a setup very similar to what happened today and with the last system. So just imagine a similar setup, a line of storms that move south, some lightning, some heavy rain. Could we see a tornado risk? We'll need to watch the far western areas again. Some gusty winds with this because once this moves through, some big temperature changes are on the way, and that's something we're going to be talking about coming up, and when we could see some record highs in that long-range forecast. But what I want to do right now is bring in some of our rain totals from our First Alert weather watchers, and I did have some of those plotted earlier. We'll see if we can get to some of those. I did check in with, let me go ahead and change sources here. And let me see, there we go. So this is our network of weather watchers across the state, and we did pick up close to an inch of rain in a lot of areas. Over an inch of rain from Tony Siegel in West Blockton. You can see over a half-inch at Talladega, Joseph Williamson, over an inch of rain in Jemison from Lynn Hall, and 3/4 of an inch in Trussville, close to an inch from John King and Alabaster. So after that initial line pushed on through, we did see a nice little soaking for a lot of areas. One good thing, it helped to wash away some of that pollen, thankfully, around the area. But meteorologist Megan Thomas was certainly on top of those storms early this morning. We had a couple of tornado warnings to kick off the coverage earlier today. Did an incredible job, but she checks back in with some of those wind reports and the highest winds that we actually saw during the storms earlier today.
It was a very active morning. As you know, it was loud. We saw lots of strong gusty winds, hail reports, and we had a couple of different tornado warnings earlier this morning. That has all since faded away. But over the last several hours, I mean, look, some of these peak wind gusts have been impressive. Birmingham, Tuscaloosa picked up 31-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then in Coleman got up to 36 miles an hour. We've had more reports come in, and we'll be able to share them with you throughout the rest of Weather Extra.
And taking you down to South Alabama now, where a suspected tornado caused damage to Dothan Preparatory School earlier this morning. A roof collapsed and fell on students. Thankfully, the injuries were only minor and those students were treated by Dothan Fire. More damage in Dothan was reported on South Foster Street and the South Street Andrews area. But let's talk about some of those damage reports right here across central Alabama. This, of course, is our current radar, but if I zoom in, we'll actually get a better idea of what area saw more of those damaging winds, I would say, those stronger wind gusts that came through as those severe storms pushed through earlier today. So we'll start off with parts of Fayette County here. Well, I guess it didn't save it. Hold on, let's pull it up over here. It's not popping up for me, but let me go back to our radar. You'll be able to see it right here. As we zoom in, there were some damage reports. There's one right here just south of Bankston. This is off of New Livingston area, and you can see that there was trees down. There were trees reported down near that area. And if I zoom out, there were more reports, and you can see that there are some reports over into the Lamar County area. We zoom in. Oh, this is Pickens County, Lamar County. Here we go. Lamar County zooming in, more trees down near Fernbank Road and County Road 12. So giving you all that first alert, the winds were definitely very strong earlier today, and that posed a big impact across central Alabama. Not just the winds, but the heavy rain and the lightning, and there were damages and down power lines from some of those lightning strikes as well. But we weren't the only ones that were impacted by severe weather. To close out the month of March, at least 2 people were killed across the U.S. after storms moved through the Great Lakes and Mid-South yesterday. These storms stretched from Michigan to Texas to Louisiana and brought damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. There were 70 tornado warnings reported and nearly 340 severe thunderstorm warnings issued. Sunday became the second busiest severe weather day of the year so far, with the storms from March 14th leading the way with more than 600 reports. And business owners and homeowners in Michigan beginning that cleanup process today after those damaging storms. Tyler Brummett spoke with one shop owner who was amazed by not only the destruction, but the support he is receiving from the community.
Well, we're standing inside the tire shop right now, and I kind of just want to show you some of the damage. Take a look at this right here. You can see the windows are now boarded up hours after that storm came through because the wind from the storm just busted out these windows. I actually want to show you some video. Take a look at your screen right now. You can see right here the wind just coming through, busting out the windows. This video was provided by the owner. He tells me that he's grateful that this wasn't any worse. He says he immediately got a call from the insurance company basically saying, hey, something is going on at your business. He tells me that so many people have come out to help him out in this time of need. He says he plans on being open tomorrow, but nonetheless, he knows it'll be a long road to recovery.
Didn't know what to think. I've never seen anything like this with any of my own property, and but I was amazed by all the people that are our customers that came out to help. It was amazing, all the people we've got to come help us.
And this isn't the only damage we saw. Take a look at this. We saw an awning over some gas pumps that was actually turned over outside of a Marathon gas station in Kalamazoo, just off US 131. So again, a lot of damage there. The gas station had to shut down because of what happened there. So again, a lot of damage in some communities here in West Michigan. The owner here at this tire shop says, obviously, this, while it might be a pain, he's just glad that no one was seriously hurt here at his business. So again, of course, we'll continue to keep you updated on the damage here across West Michigan, both on air and online. For now, we're in Three Rivers. Tyler Brummett, News Channel 3.
Area certainly gearing up for some more active weather. In 30 seconds, we bring it back home as we continue to talk about the possibility for record-breaking heat over the coming days and bring you the Weather Extra on how microplastics are impacting gardening. We'll be right back. All right, it's time to check on that forecast. The next 24 hours getting you ready for Tuesday coming up. We got a nice day tomorrow. It's going to be chilly in the morning, lows in the 40s, afternoon highs in the 70s. Wind is going to stay out of the north this evening as that colder air moves in. That should prevent a lot of fog from developing. We'll keep an eye on that later on tonight, but those temperatures will be down in the 40s. Rest of the day tomorrow, though, plenty of sun. Went with 74. I want to show you the wind speed here. Notice it's out of the east early in the day. Well, we go from north to east to southeast by the afternoon. So the wind sort of shifts around rather quickly over the next 24 hours, but it's not as gusty for tomorrow. A different story on Wednesday. Going to have some gusts, could top 20, 25 miles per hour. So plan for a very windy day coming up on Wednesday. That's going to be one of the bigger stories. And we'll talk about where storms could happen across the region. That's coming up. But also another factor here. Let's talk about these high temperatures. And over the next 7 days, a lot of changes coming up. First off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're in for the hottest stretch of the year so far. There's a good chance we could touch 90 degrees in a couple of areas by Friday across West Alabama. Wouldn't surprise me around Tuscaloosa if we touch 90 degrees, or Jasper. But the record high for Friday in Birmingham's 88, set in 2010. So we'll set a record that day. It's going to be close on Thursday. The record from 1934, 88 degrees. And we're forecasting a high of 88. Record for Wednesday from 1999 to 87. Could tie a record on Wednesday. Record heat. But then it goes a lot colder next week, and before that cold air moves in, we could deal with some weekend storms. That's what we're going to be talking about coming up in the 10-day forecast. Let's go back to Tonia.
Thanks, Wes. I know you see a lot of green check marks behind me, but I got to break this down a little bit further because I don't just want to give you the all clear from now through the weekend to get outdoors and work in those gardens, but I do think there will be some breaks. So between your Tuesday and I would say at least to your Friday, really giving you that green thumbs up, you might encounter a passing shower, maybe an isolated storm around between that Wednesday, Thursday time frame, but most areas will likely be dry. Very limited rain chances through the end of this work week. Now the weekend, different story. Saturday, I do think the daylight hours could be a lot better, so giving you that first alert, but keep in mind, because we're trending a little bit colder next week, you might just want to hold off on working on those gardens and really planting in your garden. That doesn't mean you can't cut your grass though. So if you need to get outside, tend to your yard, get it ready. I know it's growing so fast, especially since this week we'll have a little bit of rain and the warmth. Your grass will probably start to flourish like mine. So if you need to get out and cut your grass, you should be able to find some time to do that between now and the start of the weekend. But you definitely want to continue to check in for updates because your area might just have a better chance for rain. But as many people prepare to get back out and garden, including farmers, researchers worry about the impact plastics can have on our health as it's known to be used during the planting process. Fox's Sue Guzman is in New York and has more on the details.
Plastic waste may be easy to spot anywhere, but researchers warn the most dangerous types may be the ones we can't see.
Microplastics are created when large plastic in the environment breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces. And the real problem is that those pieces never really go away.
Microplastics can be found on farms around the world from plastic waste, especially in Uganda, where plastic production is very common.
We experience so many plastics, and that is brought up by the reason of having so many plastic factories or industries.
Researchers say many farmers also rely on agricultural plastics like plastic sheeting to help grow their crops as conditions become more challenging.
That breaks down over time, even though it can last for years. Eventually that plastic breaks down over time, or it tears off and blows away and just becomes essentially another source of plastic in the environment.
While agricultural plastic is a cost-effective way to sustain crop growth, scientists and farmers warn microplastics in farming soil can often end up in humans.
We know that microplastics are in our bodies, in our lungs, our brains. They've been found in a variety of places.
Researchers are working to determine the health effects of microplastics found in soil.
One of the potential issues is that there are other chemicals, potentially toxic chemicals, that adhere onto microplastics and can be moved around in the environment and in our bodies through those microplastics.
Researchers say major engineering solutions are needed to reduce microplastics use in farming and protect humans from dangerous health risks. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
These videos from our weather app in the show. All right, this weather is not slowing down over the next several days. The Storm Prediction Center has another broad enhanced risk of severe weather back to the west, but I want to put this into context here. What we're seeing for our area, a lot of this is not a concern for us. That's going to stay well west. I did highlight far northern, northwest Alabama just in case some of these storms try to sneak in, because some of those will be severe. But there's Wednesday. You can see that line approaches, but that's as far as it goes. And then there will be another line that forms and tries to move our way on Thursday, and it does not make it into the state. But the reason we did highlight it's just in case. Need to watch as some of those storms might get closer to the state line there, perhaps across far northwest Alabama. But for us, big story is actually going to be the wind speeds. Notice Wednesday, it gets warm, winds pick up over 10, 20 miles per hour, and could have some gusts over 30 miles per hour. We're going to have high pressure center to the east of Alabama, like a summertime ridge, and that's what's going to block all those storms from reaching us. But that pressure gradient is going to tighten up. It's going to drive up those winds out of the south. So tomorrow, not as windy. If you're looking for good day this week to do some spray painting, maybe paint the fence, do a little yard work. You don't want to wait until Wednesday because it's going to be quite windy out there during the day. Next 24 hours, though, tonight we have cold airs. Tonia was talking about a chill in the air tomorrow morning. May see a few upper 30s in some areas to the north. So don't put away the jacket for early in the day, but we warm up nicely. We've got a gorgeous Tuesday coming up tomorrow. Nice spring weather. The pollen, those levels will be slightly improved thanks to some rain that we had today, right? So that's going to help us out. But Wednesday, we start with some morning low clouds. We have the morning low clouds Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll see those break and give way to some sunshine. Maybe a couple of isolated showers to the west especially, but you can see those storms. There's Wednesday at 6 p.m. and notice that the stormy weather staying well off to the north and west of us. The day I am watching, we're jumping ahead to the weekend, and I did highlight a risk across our area because there's another front on the way. We go from these record highs, as you can see, in the 80s over the next couple days to next week. Temperatures plummet again. Probably see some frost. I'm concerned next Tuesday morning lows down into the mid to upper 30s. So with that change coming up this weekend, we will see another line of storms push through. A setup very similar to what happened today, what happened last Sunday night. Could see some gusty winds, but just to let you know, that's the kind of threat I'm seeing that could set up around Sunday. And once that moves on through, we are looking at drier conditions. But I want to share some video and actually some pictures from a visit that I had over the weekend, and what an honor it was to return to Mississippi State University. That's where I received my meteorology degree, and I spoke to all the meteorology students there in a big gathering talking about severe weather that we cover here on WBRC, and a lot of lessons from some of the big events that I've covered along the way, but certainly talked about the First Alert Weather Team and what we do here and the awesome folks that we have in our community. And folks here in Alabama, we are certainly weather educated, and we have covered and been through a lot of severe weather events together. So it's great sharing some of those stories and some lessons learned. But I want to give a big thank you to Mississippi State University Meteorology Program for the invite, and it was great talking with so many students. Meteorologist Matt Daniel takes us beyond the 7-day now to that possibility of some colder air for next week. I talked more about that, a little bit about that. Matt's going to break it down coming up in this story.
Well, we're finishing out the month of March, heading into April, and a lot of you, if you haven't already, are already thinking about having that garden getting ready. But we always warn you in advance that it can sometimes get chilly even in the first half of April. So is that going to happen again this year? Well, looking at the long range, beyond the 7-day, here's a look at that temperature outlook. This is for April 8th through the 14th, and it looks like the western portions of the country going to see temperatures above average, but you see those darker colors of blue? That means increasing certainty that we're going to see below average temperatures across the eastern half of the country. In fact, here in the southeast, odds are 70% chance that we're going to see temperatures below average. So what does that exactly mean? Well, here's a look at our average low temperatures in April, starting on April 1st, all through the way through the 30th. And right around that time frame, we should see on average a low temperature of about 50 degrees. So if we have a 70% chance of seeing below average temperatures, that means there's a pretty good chance we're going to see morning temperatures below 50 degrees. So the big question is, could we see freezing temperatures or even a potential frost? Well, here's some late freeze facts for you. The earliest last freeze occurred back in 1945 on February 3rd. The latest we've seen a freeze all the way back April 23rd of 1986. So it got pretty cold pretty late in the month of April. And on average, we'll see our last freeze right around March 25th. So we're already ahead of that. So looking at last year, believe it or not, we had some pretty chilly mornings. April 5th and 6th, we had a pretty strong cold front move through. We had lows in the mid to upper 30s. Some spots on the outside saw freezing temperatures. And even on April 22nd, Birmingham had a low temperature of 38 degrees. This is all from last year. So it can get pretty chilly, and get some frost, and that could cause some issues with your plants. So just looking ahead, we're talking about 7+ days ahead. Next Monday going into next Tuesday, this is the 8th. This is showing the chance to see temperatures in the upper 30s and low 40s. And as we fine tune the information, we'll get a better idea if it's going to trend colder or if it may trend a little bit warmer. But either way, you might want to wait to plant that garden. Might want to wait till after April 15th.
skies.
All right, some colder weather tonight, warmer days ahead. We'll have updates tonight, first at 9.
Have a wonderful evening. Catch you back here tonight. All right, let's knock it out. I'm ready. In 3, 2. Hey there, everyone. First Alert meteorologist Tonia Michelle here. We are taking a look at that 10-day forecast, tracking some slight rain chances for the middle of your week. Wednesday through the weekend, really, but those weekend rain chances is when we can see that rain chance really heighten, okay? So we're talking about more showers, a better chance for rain, and maybe even a stronger severe storm heading into your Sunday. So giving you that first alert. It looks like the big story this week will be the warm up, although we are tracking some cooler temperatures early Tuesday. The rest of the week won't be that cold. We're talking about record-breaking temperatures, highs nearing 90 degrees for some spots, definitely in the upper 80s. Wednesday will be a windy day, so hold on to your hat and secure those outdoor objects. There's a full look at that 10-day forecast. We'll talk more about it on the WBRC First Alert Weather app.